Hello and welcome to Dinks with Kinks. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to follow us on that social media at Dinks with Kinks. We got the Instagram, we got the Twitter, and for your grandparents, we got the Facebook. So, next time you're home for Thanksgiving, now that, restrictions are starting to be lifted a little bit, and you're seeing family, go say, Grandma, there's a podcast I want to show you. And I really want to see this. Or you go to your Aunt Peggy and get her to listen to it. I'm John Dondera.
Too soon.
I'm John Dondera. And with me tonight,
you pegged early.
I never peg early. That wonderful voice you hear is Miss Rebecca.
Hello.
And quietly shaking his head, Mr. Shep.
Good evening.
I knew I had to get those puns in early. You guys are getting quicker and quicker on pun shaming. And if I don't get them out before you have a chance to stop me, you won't let me do it. And I think I pegged it right on the head tonight.
Because we've got you pegged.
There it is. Slowly converting Miss Rebecca over to the puns. We're talking about pegging this week. This is going to be a fun one. This is like role reversal. Slipping it up, slipping it in, almost. Pegging is the act of
surprise butt sex.
And actually, usually, it's pretty well planned out. Okay. But yes, is the act of being, and I'm just gonna bluntly say this: it's the act of being fucked by a strap-on, being a male. This is not girl on girl. This is a man and a woman. Being and the woman is penetrating the man's anus, the very heinous anus, the
anus.
And before we get into this is not this is very different from like having quote unquote homosexual sex. This is not two men having sex. This pegging is exactly a man and a woman for this particular kink. Are you guys familiar with pegging? Or is this the first you've heard of it?
Yes, Peggy, we are.
Yes. I do know of it.
You do know of it? Is your nickname Peggy Sue?
It is not Peggy Sue.
It might be after this podcast.
Oh, Peggy Lou.
Peggy Lou?
Peggy Lou who?
Get a little backpack action going on. All right. Well, you guys have heard of it. Is this through experience or late night Pornhub searches or what's up?
I say nay nay.
How did y'all hear of this? You haven't heard of this?
Heard of it, but that's it. Heard of it.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't hear about it until we started talking about it. Was it Christmas or Kinkmas? And we were talking about it. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then it just started random discussions with my friends because I have a lot of male friends. And so it was just discussions about it.
So you were like, hey, can I peg you? Is that became your like icebreaker? Hey, I'm on the first podcast. Can I peg you?
No,
Can I nickname you Peggy?
I mean...
Peggy Lusu.
I mean, I like talking about kink. I like talking about fetishes. I don't think that
she likes talking about penetration of men.
I don't think sex is taboo. So I like talking about it and going down the list of things of what you would do, what you wouldn't do. What do you think about this? Well, it comes up in discussion. It does.
Yes, it's actually a rather popular one, and it's not as taboo as you would think. It's actually more common in relationships. The more I looked into it, and like a lot of the kinks we talk about on this podcast, it very much falls into that lovely category of dom and sub. Usually being the male sub wants to be dominated by a female in such a way that it almost rips his masculinity away. It usually goes hand in hand with what's called sissification, but not always. It's this is one of those gateway fetishes that not gateway fetishes, but combo fetishes. Because a gateway fetish leads to other fetishes. I believe this is a fetish you combine with other fetishes a lot, very often. So
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And typically, Shep is visibly uncomfortable, and he just knows because I'm going to contact his significant other later and be like, "Hey, Shep needs some hands-on research with this." And she'll do it too because she's my girl. She'll be like, "All right, I got your back." Oh nope, there's the look. There's
that look. Damn. All right.
It's not a podcast if I can't make Shep make that look, that face. No, this is a podcast typically for sub males, but not always. As I found out, the more research I've done, that sometimes this is a very much of like a role reversal fetish, not just so much being dominated, but like switching roles, and it's not always the man who wants it. This is not like though it, I mean, of course consent is always key, but like there are many times where the woman has this fetish. It's not just like, it's not just I am a man and I want this. I may be okay with it, but my partner really wants it.
I can see that. I can see, because especially if you're a female that works in a very male-dominated environment, and one that is not one that is very inclusive. So I can see this sexual attraction of taking back that power and really just feeling. I can see that 100%. I can yeah.
It is the cure for toxic masculinity. Because nothing washes away toxic masculinity than shoving a dick in a dude's ass. Just throwing that out there.
I threw it in there.
Just chucking it in there. No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. When you grow up in a very power-driven situation where heavy masculinity runs rampant and you feel powerless, being able to take back perceived power, because typically if your partner's into this,
so it's taking back penis power, perceived power.
Actually, no, you're that's 100% what it is, especially from like the female perspective of this. Of course, I don't want to speak for all females because I am one male, so I do not want to mansplain anything. I've read reports from females. This is me quoting, not mansplaining. Please don't peg me.
Oh my God.
That's not what he said before.
No,
okay. So as a female, and if you are a female who are into this fetish, and for those males listening, it is not penis envy. It is not a female who is into this who wants a penis, who has that jealousy of, oh, I wish I were a man, or I wish it is, you spend so and I can't speak, but it's like you spend a lot of your life, or something happened in your past where a male has devalued you or has made you feel small, and it's like that taboo of something snapped in you where you're like, okay, well, it's really hot that I can take over. And it is that power exchange. It is not a penis envy. It is a power exchange. And that is a huge difference. So don't think that if your partner, your female is into this, is not because she is jealous of your dick. It is because she wants to feel empowered, and she finds that sexy, and she finds that attractive. So,
I mean,
my little female soap.
It could even be okay because, people automatically think this pegging equals a large strap-on penis, whereas, it could be as small as a little pea shooter or something. It's just the act of. It's not necessarily the big, equal-sized penetration type of thing.
But way to mansplain it. I like that. I appreciate that, Rebecca. I'm just kidding.
You go so good.
Kidding.
You're so good.
No, you're 100% right. This is not a penis envy issue. This is not, I wish I had a dick because dicks are better. No, this is, I am taking power, and it's not even so much I'm taking power, I'm robbing you of power. I am in control, so I am taking your power away. At least the male side of this fetish is having that power taken from you. Like, I want to have my power ripped from me. I want to be dominated, and I want to feel that oppression. I have watched a lot of pegging porn in the past couple weeks, months, years, for research for this episode. Just research for this episode, nothing more. Not saying it's in my top 10 porn searches, but typically, a lot of times it is being robbed. So, I mean, basically, I think, I don't want to sum it down to it's only that. Sometimes it's men who want to be feminized. They are not masculine people in any aspect of their life, even though they're not trans. They still consider themselves male, but they enjoy feeling feminine. Does that make sense? I just talk some gibberish.
No, I get it.
No. It does, yes.
Yeah, because
completely.
I have no urge to be feminine, but I am not the manly man doing the manly things all the manly time. I could go either way. I'm just like, I don't care. I do me. If it's manly, it's manly. If it's not, I don't care. I'll wear
You're manly men in tights. Tights.
Manly men in tights. I think we had that episode.
Yes.
Totes there. I'm all right with it.
Totes the tights.
So, I mean, a lot of times it ties in with the cross-dressing fetish. It ties in with sissification, which is a different type of cross-dressing and a whole different aspect.
So it plunges into the mall.
And it plunges into the mall.
My. Nice. Very nice.
So. But actually, this is one of those fetishes, like, it's really not my cup of tea, but it really pegs my curiosity. If that makes sense. And that was a pun, but it worked, and it was accurate, and it's very, very, very accurate. Because, I am by nature a dom. I enjoy being a dom. I like being dominant. But the idea of willingly giving my power up, like I said, it strikes a little curiosity here and there.
It tickles the tip of the pickle.
It tickles the tip of the pickle. Not to mention, I enjoy dominating someone and having a little anal sex on the giving side. I'm curious about what it'd be like to be on the other side of that. Wear the shoe on the other foot to experience all aspects of life. Walk a mile in someone's shoes. Well, take one in the ass for a mile or something. I don't know.
Wasn't this on your kink miss list? Wasn't this on your list though? It was on your list.
Pegging is absolutely on my list of things that I'm willing to try. I'm not going to actively hunt it out. I'm not going to beg anybody or ask anybody, but if somebody was into it, I would absolutely go, yeah.
And he would go, touch me. I want to get Peggy.
Mm-hmm. I'd be like, well, I'm going to call you Peggy Sue. Let's do this. But it's not something that I would ask of my partner because, like I said, typically I am a dom and I am mainly attracted to subs. So It would have to be one of those like just happen to line up perfectly in the perfect world, and Susan Sarandon's there. I don't know.
The perfect penis or strap-on. Perfect strap-on.
Yeah, it would have to be the one strap-on to rule them all. But and the biggest,
the perfect strap-on to go Helm's Deep.
The biggest misconstrued thought of this is that the person getting pegged, the male, is homosexual, and it really has nothing to do with that. They're not into men by any shape of the means. I mean, they might be, I don't know, but I'm talking about as hardline what this fetish entails. It's not somebody who wishes they were having sex with a man. They wouldn't have sex with a man if they were offered it. I actually know a friend who has a fairly large pegging fetish. He is 100% heterosexual. He's like, I have no problem with homosexuality, but I'm not attracted to that. I'm not attracted to
He's a peg leg Pete.
He does not want a peg leg Pete. He wants a peg leg Peggy Sue.
Pretty little Peggy Sue.
So, and I think that is probably one of the biggest misconceptions of this fetish, is that one or two of the parties is homosexual. Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry.
It's the Don Darrow show.
Sorry, folks. Talking. My cat is
her putty
is distracting me. I'm sorry. I guess I just I'm saving all of this for the would I'd always jump the would you part of it early.
Listen, if you want a premature would you can get on that, okay? I will just ask you.
And if you would rather hold it off, you could there too.
Edge it on skirt around the edges.
Yeah, there are two other people in this podcast. Shout.
Smooshing around.
Give us your opinion of pegging. Like, what did you think it entailed? Like, I want to know what your thoughts on it were before this podcast.
Well, no, when I first even heard about it, I learned all the proper nuances and such. I just never had the inkling towards it. That's all.
No, and that's perfectly fine. Because that's one thing that makes me really fascinated about this fetish in particular, or any fetish that most people know of but have no idea about, like what they thought it was before they knew about it, like knew the nuances and what all it entails, like before they listened to this awesome podcast.
Yeah. I've been back and forth on this ever since Christmas, and it came up, and I've looked into it, and it went down.
You went down.
And I really thought about, would I do this? Like, would this be something I'm into or would want to try? And I because I'm a sub, I don't have any desire to take someone's power. I don't have I just don't have that desire to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of the people I've talked about, I feel like they would and I'm the same way. I would do it if they wanted me to. I would not say no. But I feel like if they wanted me to do it, they would get way more out of it than I would. So I don't know.
And I was really waiting for you to say something like that, because after Christmas, after we had that discussion at Kinkmas, I started looking into it. I was like, is it always the sub getting from the dom? And I was surprised in a lot of these channels where it's the dom being the male. and ordering their sub to take them. And like they're not take. I think in the homosexual community, it's called a power bottom. So the power bottom, the bottom being the power. It's still in control. I am on the bottom, and that carries over to
give this
heterosexual
bottom your
begging.
power. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So it's not just. I mean, it's a little harder to imagine being the roles that we play, and we're not thinking of it in those terms. But I was really surprised to find out that it is not always just a, sub getting the business end of a penis.
I would do it if my dom wanted me to. Because.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
But that would not be something that is very high on my list.
No, and listen, that's fine. You are the reason I know that now, though, because when you pointed that position out, I was like, but is that even a thing? And it's usually you're right. You are 100% right, except the rare cases where somebody is power bottoming, which I only thought was homosexual. I mean, using a homosexual, I was wrong. And I love being wrong because that means I learned something new. And saw some very, very odd porn. And it wasn't odd for the pegging. There were a ton of aspects. Like I said, this is a buddy fetish where you combine it. And I was like, the other fetishes were like, didn't see that one coming. I honestly didn't see that coming.
I can see the appeal of it. I can see the appeal of it on a female aspect. I can see the appeal of it. I do. I can. I can see, like, even if you're not a subdom, if that's not your dynamic, even with your partner, even if that's not the dynamic, I can see the appeal of it. I can see why a lot of women are into it, not just men. I can understand that. I think for me, because I don't feel demeaned in my everyday life. I don't feel diminished, that I don't feel the need to take back that power. So it's not I think because I am such a like powerful person in my personal life, like my not sex life, that it's so much sexier for me to just go, I don't want to think, you know what, it's all you. I think.
And that's absolutely fine. And if anybody is curious about how to find more information about non-dominant pegging, look up the phrase prostate milking. Yep. This is where I went down that rabbit hole, because it's men who it's not a power issue. They are just hypersensitive in their prostate, which is reached through the anus, and it gets them off. It's the same as sticking a finger up an ass during a blowjob, which can lead to what I'm looking for, explosive endings. Okay, so sometimes it's not about let's switch up power roles, let's do this. There's nothing to do with that. It's just I enjoy receiving anal sex because I have a very sensitive prostate that rides high. And that's where I learned the phrase prostate milking, which is exactly what you think it sounds like. And yep. Buckle up. And you know what? Now it pegged my curiosity. So now we're coming to that stage of the episode of the Would You Will.
Climax.
I'm not even going to ask Rebecca because she's already very clearly stated her opinion on this subject.
She will do that on demand.
She will do it by demand but not enjoy it, and that's okay. You don't
No pay-per-view,
have to enjoy
on
everything
demand
you
only.
do.
On command only.
You don't have to. You don't have to. On command only. Ooh, I like that.
Rebecca on command.
Yeah, I like that. And you
The
don't
new
have
On
to be in
Command
every
series
kink
coming at
we
you.
talk about. Trust me, we've had several kinks on this show that I'm like, not for me. And nothing about this arouses me, piques my curiosity. I'm not into it. And that's okay. I don't shame anybody for doing it. But it's not my cup of tea because I prefer beer. But Mr. Chef, would you be willing to try it? Would this be something that, even if it's not your cup of tea, does it fall in the category of, I still would try it to say I did it?
In this case, it would have to be not only the not cup of tea, but the no try as well.
Okay. That's fine. I'll be the sole trier.
You
I
were
don't think I ever
so
will.
dry.
I'm a sole trier. Bow, 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 bow.
And then it went down.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, that was a pretty short and sweet episode. If you guys have more questions about pegging, please look me up. Find us on the social media at Dinks with Kinks. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and we're on Facebook now. And I respond to all those messages. You'll be talking to somebody here, and we will respond and get back to you. If I don't know the answer, I will pass it
It
on.
won't be
to
pegged in the order you
one of the
received.
other two. But I will say, apparently, you're not going to get any information about pegging from these two. It's going to be all me. I'm the pegging master. I know all the pegging stuff. It's in my brain.
That's right, Peggy Sue.
And I will never be able to unhear prostate
Pretty,
milking.
Peggy Sue.
Yeah. Contact Peggy Sue at Dinks with Kinks. Anyway, should we see what we're talking about next week, guys?
Please.
All right. You know, I feel like you guys would really like to watch me spin this wheel.
Why?
Like last week, you guys were last week you guys were giving me such grief about spinning the wheel. You're going to take the wheel privileges away, and I'm like, maybe you guys would much more enjoy watching me spin the wheel. I would actually enjoy being watched.
This is week
Spinning
number
the wheel.
2. This is week number 2. This is warning 2. You're gonna get it taken away from you.
Listen, you don't even know what the episode's about.
Do I?
We're talking about knees next.
Knees? Oh,
Yeah, knee fetish.
okay.
No,
Oh.
I'm just kidding. It's voyeurism and exposition. I just really want to make y'all feel bad for just attacking me like that.
How did that work out for you?
I still feel bad. All right. Cool. So next week we're going to be watching what we say and being watched as we say it. We're going to be doing a little voyeurism and exposition. I like to show off.
Both of these are my
What's
favorite. I
exposition?
like both of these equally.
Exhibitionism? Yes.
All right. So
Okay.
you heard it here first. Rebecca is taking the reins next week, and she's doing the episode.
Yeah, I can't talk a lot about
I'm
pegging,
going to go on
but
vacation.
let's.
I'm going to go down my rabbit hole and find someone to get into my rabbit hole, and she's
I am
going
not
to watch it
letting everything
happen. Yeah. So until next week, I'm John Dondero, and joining me, the anti-pegging Mr. Shep.
Did you say
We do not-
anti-pegging?
No, that
sounds
is
rather
pegging.
negative.
Aunt Peggy. Aunt.
We do not peg
pegging.
shame.
I'm not pegging. I was making a pun on Aunt Peggy.
Fail
I-
much?
This is how we're ending the episode, folks.
So we end every week. You guys just bully me. I try to make a clever pun, and you're like,
Well, then be clever.
Oh,
I'm not clever.
And I'm Rebecca.
you heard it here, folks. He's not
And I hope
clever.
you have a good evening.
I quit. I'm done. Next week, guys.
You're just gonna sit there and watch. Sit
Have
there.
a
And
good
watch.
evening.